In this episode, we are taking a contemplation into speaking your truth, and in particular, what really is your truth. Watch on to start to dive into this deep and profound question and find out the practical ways in which it is a part of your everyday life. Allow your heart to listen. Welcome, I'm Nid, a soul guide, and in this series we are exploring speaking your truth. This is the first episode of that series, and so we're going to take a moment to jump into a contemplation on what does it actually mean to speak your truth. And initially when I was tuning in to sharing this, the Buddhist teachings came to me the strongest. Remembering that when we speak our truth, we want to actually stop and question our truth and what it is that we believe is the truth in order to share. Because not always is our truth kind to ourselves or to someone else. So that's the first question. Is this truth kind? And then the second question is what I want to speak true? It might be true right now, but will it be true in 5 days' time, 5 years' time? This is an important question because often our perception of what is true changes with time. And so if it's just a passing truth, that doesn't really make it a forever truth, a real truth. It's just a perception, a passing interpretation or story. And then the next question is my speaking this of benefit? Is it helpful to myself and to everyone else that I'm speaking it to? And this is something I would often ask myself of things that I'm going to share in these videos. Is this of benefit for me to say, record, to share, for other people to hear? Where is the helpfulness in what is being said? And if it doesn't seem as though it's helpful to all, that there's a beneficial approach, and of course not everyone's going to love me, so not everyone's going to love what you've got to say, but we do want to be looking for an averaging appearance of being of benefit, and that's where things can get a little bit relative as to what we perceive is of benefit. And this is where we need to check in with the next question. Is it endearing? And an alternative way of checking in with is it endearing is whether or not it comes from a place that is from our fear, our anger, an unprocessed emotion. Maybe it's still being triggered from a place of resolving whatever it is that's an inner stress within the body. It's effectively, does it come from a sense of battle? And to what effectiveness is speaking from that place of battle to be of benefit and helpful to everyone else? And last question is it timely? And there are times when it's appropriate to share something and other times where it's not the place, it's not the time, and that it's something that can be said in another way, in another situation. So perhaps it's not timely to say it because someone is in the middle of something and they're not going to be able to really be connected and pay attention to what is being said. And so therefore it feels like it falls on deaf ears. But maybe if when they're in a different place, they're relaxed, they're open, then they can receive what it is that's being said. And that would be timely. And what these 5 questions, these 5 contemplations bring us is a way to inquire with what it is that is to be spoken. A way of questioning our own thoughts on what it is that we want to share. Personally, as a child, I was often told that I spoke before I thought. And that was not quite true to me in experience because I knew what I was saying and I did think before I spoke. But what I did not do very well was filter through whether or not what I was saying was kind and of benefit without that endearing nature. Perhaps I perceived and saw something that was very true, but the way in which I was sharing it was not as kind as it could be, was maybe a bit too blunt and clarifying, and someone wasn't quite ready to hear it, so it wasn't the time to say it. And what I perceived as being helpful and of benefit to that person wasn't the kind of benefit that they were ready to integrate and to help shift their life. And so it often could come from a place of battle where I would appear as though I was questioning them and doubting them. Now, in the Gene Keys modality, we use the practice of contemplation. This is very similar to our spiritual inquiry, to pause and sit with an open mind and an open heart to inquire as to what something truly means and how that can shift and change. With the Gene Key of Truth, which is number 63, we start actually in the shadow of doubt. Now, the shadow of doubt is the logical mind, is the mind trying to work things out, to piece things together in an order that makes sense. And this often is very connected to a deep level of inner critic, to the mind that says, well, that doesn't make sense. It needs to be like this. It should follow in the following order, 1, 2, 3, 4. And therefore, when I speak, it is kind of me to say the following because I feel that it is true in this very moment and it's going to help this person because they're going to hear it and therefore they're going to it's going to land. That energy is me coming from that place of the critic, of that doubt in my mind that feels that if I say and speak from my place, that somehow or another that's going to help that other person. But it's not. That's actually an energy of the critic, of that left-sided logical brain trying to create a certain outcome because it's doubting what is a potential outcome in a scenario, in a relationship, and therefore trying to find a means to control through communication. And ways in which the nervous system connects to this sense of doubt could be through that communication being really suspicious and therefore again trying to control what other people's behavior is, double guessing, double checking, did they say that, did they mean that, why did they say it like that, why aren't they hearing it like this? That kind of questioning is that suspicion of the critic inside the mind, trying to see what is the logical sense, where is this communication, this other person, and sometimes even ourselves not making sense. And if it doesn't make that logical sense, it's not to be trusted. And then we believe that it is not true. The other way in which the mind and the nervous system can be doubtful is through comparison. This constant using of the inner critic to compare why you are not good enough or better than another. And this will drive us into a perpetual busy place of that critic having a lot to think and chat about. Now, I already said as a child, I had this very strong desire to speak my truth without a filter. And that 63 Gene Key sits in my profile. It's part of my radiance. And so for me, I really had to spend some time understanding the ways in which that doubt operates within me and how I could deploy both of those strategies in order to try and have some degree of control in my communications with people. As a lawyer, this actually really worked to my advantage because I could read and suss out situations with people and I could understand the way in which communications tended to go in the kind of deals that I did. So it gave me a really great strength. But again, it wasn't very helpful in my emotional relationships, in my personal life, because those relationships don't rely on that logic. They don't follow the way that critic likes to process things and question things. That's not our human behavior. Our human behavior comes from an emotional place, comes from the heart wanting to expand and explore and create. And so it was only when I really spent more time sitting in spiritual inquiry teachings like Buddhist teachings, like spending some time with my Gene Key 63 and inquiring with myself with some of those questions that I opened with, that began to open myself up that sometimes speaking my truth was not the best time and place. And in fact, maybe just didn't even need to be spoken, because it was just a thought in my head or an idea in my head. And yes, I do have those psychic skills and I do intuit. And there is a time and a place, even for when I share those things, for how I share them, for when I deliver. Is it going to be kind? Is it of benefit in the way that I'm saying it? And will it land as a genuine truth that will be long lasting for that person or persons who are receiving what it is that I say? And when is it time for me just to let go of the thing that has passed through me, allowing myself to be in that experience? Because ultimately, truth and speaking our truth comes from 4 key places. It comes from our thoughts. That's the first place everything always comes from. Thoughts, like passing clouds, like the changing weather. Our thoughts change, and therefore our perspectives on things change and pass, and really are transitory. They really only have the meaning we attach to them, which is when they become a belief. And again, beliefs are transitory, although we might hold on to them for many, many years. And those beliefs become feelings, beliefs that really hold on to us, that we have attached to early childhood memories, and even karmic memories will really deeply feel in the body. And there will be a bodily response that's almost like you cannot control it. It takes its own journey. And that will be a truth to you for a very long time, until you have resolved that karma, that belief system that is running within your body. And from that, the stories, the experiences in life that you have brought in to learn, consolidate, validate, and give evidence to that belief, those feelings, and those thoughts. And as each of those stories becomes unraveled, seeing each of those thoughts and feelings from those different places, from different timing, from different inquiry, it is possible that you start to release the beliefs, that you pivot and the story is a different place. And then you can start to really open up to experience truth and communicating and speaking your truth from a very different place. I just wanted to share one recent story with a soul realignment client that I had, who came to me with no intention. I never ask what my soul realignment clients are coming for. I just do the reading. And then afterwards, they may share with me what has been going on for them. And this client had been working for a very long time with an energy of fighting the good cause for more equality in this world, and had been speaking up against some of these inequalities, and really was very driven from the trauma experienced of lack of love, lack of being able to express themselves fully in their life, and the suppression that that had created. And this drive drove their whole career, hold them founding their business, their relationships in life. And after we did the clearing, I removed a large part of the karma that was running a huge amount of negative thinking for this person. And within 2 weeks, they emailed me saying that those self-critical thoughts had gone. And with those self-critical thoughts gone, suddenly a large part of the motivation and drive to fight for that equality had gone. And they couldn't understand why had that drive for fighting for equality vanished now that those critical thoughts had gone, why those negative systems and beliefs had gone from their body. And I explained to them that was it really an endearing intention for what they were sharing? They were coming from that place of the battlefield. They were fighting a good cause because they had all of that negativity, that trauma running through their body, and that was giving them the drive and the purpose to really fight the good cause. But it was coming from that place of negative thoughts, of negative truth. And without that critic, that doubt running inside of their mind, they could be free and actually move from a purpose that was really soulful and joyous and peaceful in their heart, that would really have an enduring benefit to all beings. And what lay underneath that client was also a deeper heart expansion available, a deeper opening to let themselves receive more love, to receive a loving partner, loving relationships, and a bigger possibility of growth within their business, because they were no longer fighting against half of the people of which they were actually trying to sell to. And this is the power of really opening our truth, of allowing that doubt and that critical mind to be quiet, is that we open our hearts and therefore our ability to connect with more people and to do greater good from that really deep sense of peace. It doesn't mean we stop the fight against inequality, but we're not fighting. There is no fight. We recognize it's a service and it's a joy to be in that place. But the truth and your expression of truth starts to come in a different way and through the joy and pleasure of connection. And that's when we all really enjoy connecting. That's when we all feel the love and we can all receive the love. Is when it really comes from that expression, that truthful expression of an open heart and an open mind. So I hope you enjoy this series coming up on the YouTube channel. Next time, tune in for a beautiful interview with a wonderful internal family systems therapist. You will be meeting Martin Leitner, and he is a very wise man and is going to be sharing with you the importance of processing and addressing our trauma to walk through how we can open the mind and the heart for this truthful and authentic way of expressing ourselves. Until then, much love. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful day.